Hey, Winter.
Hey, Sharon, what's up?
What did the cannibal order for takeout?
What?
Pizza with everyone on it.
That's a good one.
Hungry Squared, bringing you the best food talk anywhere.
Welcome to the Hungry Squared podcast, where the brain and belly meet. I'm Sharon from the Wasatch Cooking Guide.
And I'm Winter from theredparty.com. This week, we are talking about cast iron pans and all the fun, good stuff that comes along with it.
Woohoo!
Let's talk about it.
Hungry Squared.
What'd you eat this week, Winter?
Well, what did I eat this week? Well, actually, Lee, he's just been cooking up a storm this last week, but he has been perfecting this shrimp coconut curry, and it is delicious.
Delightful.
Yeah, it's quite yummy. I absolutely love it. The thing that makes it super delicious is that he takes these red bell peppers and roasts them in the oven first until they start getting nice and charred.
Ooh, okay.
And then and that kind of gives it a little bit different flavor and deeper flavor, I say. And then he takes part of that and purees it, and it's quite lovely. The flavor actually turns out really nice. So it's taken him a while to figure that out. He just talked to one of our Indian friends, and he suggested using red onions instead of regular onions as kind of a tip. And that he tried it for this batch, and it was very tasty.
Yum.
Yeah, it was really good. So
That sounds really good.
yeah, so I can't complain. I get good dinners.
Yum.
How about you? What have you eaten? Anything good, bad, ugly?
I made banana bread this week.
What kind of banana bread? Let's talk about this. I love banana bread, but I'm particular.
I'm particular as well, because banana bread can be too wet.
Yes.
And it can also get kind of dry. Because sometimes you overbake it. Maybe you didn't put enough liquid in it, or you put too much liquid in it. And you didn't bake it for long enough.
Yep.
But the top still burns.
Yep.
That's the worst. This banana bread was a boozy banana bread.
Oh, okay, wait. Now, are you saying boozy banana bread because the bananas had gone too far? Or
No.
there was booze in it?
There was booze in it.
Okay.
So I've been making my own vanilla extract.
Oh, yeah. You have it for a while now.
Yeah. And it's really good.
So just a quick off note is your vanilla extract is you have a vodka base?
I do have a vodka base. I've tried a bourbon base before, but I think I tried the wrong bourbon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bourbon is a little bit tricky. Just the different flavor profiles from the different manufacturers vary greatly. And so the one that I used, it was wild turkey. It was gross.
Didn't
Wouldn't
turn out well.
recommend the wild turkey.
Okay. Don't do it.
But I am planning on making another bourbon-based one.
Trying a different brand of some sort.
Yeah. My friend the bear is a whiskey and bourbon aficionado.
Oh, so he has some recommendations for you.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go with something he recommends.
Okay.
But that's kind of a back burner project.
The one that you've made now, though, the vanilla one, is vodka based, right?
It is a vodka base, yeah.
And so you go ahead and get some vanilla beans, split those open, and you can just put them in there and soak them nice and good, and for months sometimes.
Yeah,
is that
mine's
right?
Mine's been brewing, I guess, for about 6 months.
Yeah. And it's kind of the longer the better, right?
Yeah. I've got it in a little bit larger, I think, than a pint-size mason jar, because it's a pretty big jar. So it's the next size up from a pint, whatever that, a quart maybe?
Yeah, probably.
I think it's a quart size. And so I've got a couple cups of vodka in there. I started off, I think, with 2 or 3 cups. I mean, kind of doesn't matter. I started off with 8 vanilla beans.
Okay, and you split those open.
I split them open and I left the tops intact. And so it looks like the vanilla bean got forked, essentially.
Oh, okay.
So it's split in 2, but it's still all in one piece.
Right.
With the top connecting it. So, yeah. And then I've put in bits of used vanilla beans where I've scraped out the inside for a recipe. But then I've got the pod And the pod still actually, even though it's not really edible, has some vanilla flavor in there. So I just throw those in.
Well, and let's be honest, when have you ever scraped out all of the vanilla beans from those pods?
Right. You kind of can't tell sometimes.
Exactly. So you're just like, I'm going to just put it in there for good measure.
Yeah. And so I just keep it in a dark place in my kitchen. It's in the back of a cupboard. And I just kind of shake it up before I use it. It's been good to go.
Wonderful. So how did your banana bread become boozy?
So there's also a shot of High West Campfire in it.
Oh.
Which is a Scotch whiskey blend.
And so did that make it too wet, or did you just other wet ingredients were decreased?
So this particular recipe I adapted and I decreased. So I used 2 different recipes to base this off of.
Oh, okay.
And I've cooked both of them through all the way on their own. And then I just kind of adapted it to fit what I wanted. Gotcha. So it's 3 tablespoons of the liquor, 2 teaspoons of the vanilla.
Okay.
So,
how did it taste?
Really good. It's it's this dark, tastes really like dark and deep, like really rich.
I can
sweet.
imagine there would be a little bit different.
So there's dark chocolate in it. There's ginger, which plays really well off of the alcohol. I love that. And since it was the campfire blend that High West does,
is it a little smoky or something?
Yeah, that actually tastes campfire-like.
Oh.
And smells the same way. So it has this smoky essence to it. And so that kind of goes into the banana bread too. And so it's really just warm and deep, kind of spicy, but not too much.
I love a good crust. How was the crust on that one?
So it was a really deep brown crust.
Yeah.
Almost to the point of burning because I have to bake it for, my oven's kind of weird in my apartment. And so the recipe usually, in other ovens I've done it, it's an hour. Mine was like an hour and almost 20 minutes.
That's the way our oven is with banana bread too. We always have to do it a little bit longer because I like the deeper crust, that crustiness, and then the soft inside.
Yeah.
Because I also do a dark chocolate ginger recipe.
I think those are the best.
Yeah, they are delicious. It's like wonderful. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm kind of liking the idea of having that little bit of smoky flavor in it.
Yeah. So you could probably decrease the liquid so it's not as like, hey.
Yeah.
Don't want to take that to work. You could probably decrease that alcohol content a little bit. But
it's going to cook off, right?
Well, technically alcohol, here's a pro tip. Technically alcohol doesn't cook off when you cook it.
Yeah.
That's what everybody says. And most of the alcohol content does cook off, but
not all of it.
Not all of it.
However, it does cook for a long time.
Yeah. And I mean, you're talking about like a 350 degree oven for over an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, even though, yes, it is 3 tablespoons is about a shot. It's an entire loaf. So
it's fine.
It's like nothing.
It's fine.
Totally feed it to your baby. It's totally fine.
Lucy. Okay. Well, that sounds good.
Yeah, but it was super tasty.
That's awesome. I think we had a good food week then.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
And now for the main course.
Well, Sharon, should we move on to our topic?
Yeah, cast iron.
I know. So I have a confession to make. I didn't really know anything about cast iron pans.
What?
Well, okay, so...
You have them though, right?
I do.
Okay, that's what I thought. I swear I was with you when you bought one, actually.
Apparently. I'm kind of an idiot, though. I am Asian. I just want to point that out.
Oh.
If you didn't know that, I'm Asian.
I'm white.
And we went camping, but we never did like the Dutch oven thing. That was just not a thing that we did. We did tinfoil dinners, okay, people. We're not, and because it just never was a thing. Like there was stuff that I kind of didn't understand or realize, or my parents didn't quite pick up on because they didn't grow up in America. And so I didn't really understand what the heck cast iron and Dutch oven and all that jazz. Like,
There is something to be said about not lugging around an extra 50-pound
Right?
pan.
Tinfoil dinners are a beautiful thing. I'm just saying.
And they are. They're yummy and so versatile.
Yeah. But so yes, I do have some Dutch ovens, and I have apparently taken poor care of them
Oh.
because I did not understand a couple of things about cast iron pans. So I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, in my research, I found out, did you know that Dutch oven, like the term Dutch, it actually means fake, not from Holland, that kind of Dutch.
Oh.
I didn't know that. Somebody
No,
just mentioned
I
that. So
didn't know
I
that
was like,
either.
huh, okay. And
That might explain why, just to say, that might explain why Le Creuset refers to their ovens as French ovens. They do.
really? Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Maybe they don't. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Le Creuset is a famous,
Very famous.
enameled cast iron brand.
Yes.
Made in France.
And so the other thing I didn't realize, I actually thought, okay, these cast iron, because so my experiences with cast iron pans have been kind of dismal because of the fact I've used them, and I thought, well, aren't they supposed to be awesome at like keeping everything super warm? Or like I was kind of under the understanding that cast iron pans are really good at distributing heat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Everybody brags about how they heat evenly.
Yeah. So there's that thing, that aspect, and we can talk about that in just a second. But the other one was like how really awesome they are at being nonstick. And I have always had terrible luck in not having things stick. I mean, like things stick on my cast iron pans. I'm like, what is my problem? I really stink at this. What's my problem? Like,
Yeah.
I just never got it. This was very helpful actually to do research on this. So the cool thing I found out about cast iron from a metallurgical standpoint, let me just throw that word out there, was that this pan, the cast iron itself has a couple advantages. It can wonderful temperature delivery power. Like it can deliver this temperature really well and effectively. And it's also a really good regulator of that. But there's a couple of things that are myths. So cast iron cookware provides even heat. That's not entirely correct because you're going to have this pan that may not be completely even throughout. It might not be made throughout, and it depends on where your heat source as well. So actually this one article that I read by David Arnold from Cooking Issues, he kind of talked about how you can figure out where your where it would distribute the heat. He said to sprinkle some flour onto the bottom of your pan, whether it's a cooking pan or your Dutch oven or whatever, and put it over a large burner, and you'll see where the flour burns quickest. And
so that's where your hot spots are.
Yeah, that's where it's going to heat up the most. And so I thought that was really interesting. And that article actually has some pictures of him heating up different things. And I guess Harold McGee, he's actually a really huge food scientist guy. And he actually does one where you can cut out a piece of paper and put it on the bottom of your pan and cover it with beans so that you get a kind of an impression that you can hold on to and like, oh, okay, it gets hot really quickly here and it's really cold here. So
do you have to test that at different temperatures? Or?
I think they just heated it up on a big enough burner. You have to kind of have a big enough burner.
Yeah, all the research that I've done about cast iron is you really want to make sure that you're matching as close as you can the size
diameter
of the piece of cookware, either the skillet or the Dutch oven, with your burner.
Yeah. And I think that's what they kind of recommended so you can see where it's going to quickest, the heat. Cast iron has a greater heat capacity than, like, say, copper, but it's not as good as aluminum. Aluminum actually has a really high heat capacity. However, cast iron wins out in density. It's a really dense material, right?
Right. So it's so heavy.
Yeah, exactly. So when you get basically pound for pound, you are going to be able to store more heat in the cast iron. And so that's kind of why it beats out in regards to, yes, it sure is going to take a lot longer to get hot, but once it's hot, it's going to maintain that thermal energy for the entire, like a much longer time. And it's going to be more constant. It's going to be a good regulator of that heat. So that was that was interesting. It's not really, because let's be honest, like when you put it on a burner, it's going to get hot right at where the burner is touching, but it's going to take a dang long time to get up the sides and around the edges. And so,
Right.
So I think, well, Sharon and I were chatting about this before we started the podcast, and Sharon's like, the thing that I heard was that the best way to get something ready to go is to actually stick it in the oven beforehand. So it's ready, raring to go. And then when you're ready to do it, then just stick it on your burner. That's already on as well. That's kind of the gist of it, right?
That is what I found. But something interesting too is that you don't want to preheat an empty dish. And so it's best to crank your oven on like 250, 300 degrees, something like that. If you're just going to cook it on the cooktop, you can start it on low on the cooktop and then increase your heat as well. But you don't ever want to use like a cold pan and then just kind of expect it to start working. Nope. Or expose it to extreme temperature changes.
Yeah.
Like you don't ever want to preheat your pan on like a broil setting in the oven or extra high heat. You want to crank up that heat slowly because it can warp your pan.
Yeah. Well, I thought...
and so can like just taking the hot pan, just like, I mean, you would with your glass cookware, you're not going to expose it to like cold water right away or anything like that.
Yeah, because there will be a lot of flex in that, and it could shatter.
The cast iron can actually crack too.
Oh.
You see that in a lot of vintage cast iron. Some of it's pitted or cracked.
Oh, really?
And warped, and you can tell in the warping.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I thought that was really interesting it's still a metal, and it's going to take a little bit longer to get up to temperature, but once it's there, it's going to be pretty darn reliable. And I thought that was kind of cool. So
yeah.
The other aspect that I didn't understand was the whole nonstick portion. Because I was like, these are nonstick. It's like awesome. It's the original, the OG gangster nonstick.
Yeah. Screw you, Teflon.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so the other thing I've noticed, everything that I read and the research I did, they talk about how eventually when you season it, and I'm going to pass that over to Sharon to talk a little bit more about seasoning, but it's going to be nonstick to a certain extent, but it's not going to be as like super awesome as Teflon. Teflon is a totally different material, and it's when you do I'm sure if you do a freshly new made Teflon pan versus your cast iron pan that you season, the Teflon pan's going to win out. So it's probably maybe considered, your Dutch oven or your cast iron's going to be considered less stick.
I think of the cast iron more as a workhorse.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably not going to make some crepes in it. Let's be honest.
Why not?
But you are going to make some really good meat with some great crusts, some stews.
A cornbread.
I mean, there's so many things that you can make in it that taste so much better than what you've been using before.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you on that. So because I am a chemist by training, I wanted to talk about how this whole seasoning thing works, because I did not understand it. Like, once again, didn't do a lot of camping, didn't do a lot of Dutch ovening when I was younger. So I'm just like, let's talk about this in a chemistry standpoint. And then I'm like, I'm good. So obviously when it's seasoned properly, and seasoning, and I'm sure Sharon will go into this a little bit more, but it's rubbing an oil or a fat into the cast iron and then heating it afterward. And we'll talk about temperatures and stuff later. And this does a couple of things. First of all, it protects that oil, will protect it from rust and air, so rust doesn't happen. But the oil, and the different oils that you can use, or the different fats that you can use, are kind of there's a lot of argument, it seems like, or a lot of discussion about what are the best oils to do. I'm not going to get into those, so I'll let Sharon do that. but they kind of talk about how like unsaturated fats are really good because they've got some double bonds that are reactive, and when you throw in iron as your oxidizer, it's a catalyst, then it's going to break down the oil, and it is going to form. It's not just going to melt the oil and fill in the cracks and stuff like that.
No. What does it do?
It doesn't. It in fact oxidizes, and which after that it polymerizes. So it creates like this beautiful like large molecule polymer across your surface, and it fills in the cracks and the crevices. And as you keep doing the seasoning, you continue to create another layer of this. It's kind of almost like what a plastic is, this polymer. And so it's so interesting.
You can have like layers and layers of this plasticized polymer.
Just on your... And so that was another mistake I made, was that I'm like, okay, I've seasoned it once, we're good. No, like the ones that are the Dutch oven pans or the cast iron pans that are the most beautiful, I think, are the ones that like you can tell they have been probably seasoned many, many, many times, been used a lot, and they have a lovely flavor, I think. Yeah. And they don't stick that much, because it's created this layer that is almost, I wouldn't say Teflon-like, but it provides a protection, and it fills in these cracks and crevices, so it's a little bit slicker. There is a little bit of the way things were manufactured back in the day, in the 19th century, I think. Yeah. They polished some of the cast iron, and so that definitely made a little bit of a slicker surface. It looks really nice. But nowadays, as manufacturing has changed, the polishing has kind of dropped out of favor, because I think it's for mass production, it hasn't really turned out that way as much. And so you have kind of more of a pebbled surface. And so I think it makes it harder to get that nonstick surface with that pebbled surface. So, one of the cool things I saw was like they actually recommended, some of these big manufacturers of cast iron pans was, you can take a little bit of sandpaper at the very beginning before it's been seasoned or anything and just polish it yourself. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of, maybe if you were like, I really want to make my seasoned pan a nice, as non-stick as possible, then I'm going to start out that way. So after you purchase your newly purchased pan, give it, and if it's still got that pebbled surface, if it hasn't been polished, then maybe take a little bit of sandpaper to it and give it a good polish, and then go ahead and season it. So yeah, I just love the fact that this is kind of like a chemistry thing. It's a polymer that's being created because of the heat, the double bonds being broken, oxidized, and polymerizing. Just thought it was fun. It was so cool. Like polymerization.
Oh, wow. I don't know if I could say that word.
I was like, oh, this is so awesome. It's surface chemistry, everybody. Surface chemistry.
Woo, woo.
Sharon's like, you're a dork. Sorry.
See, I don't have the science background, but I've got the camping background.
Yes, let's do it. I do not have that. We car camped. I just want to point out, we're not huge campers.
Yeah.
So...
Well, the cast iron is perfect for car camping because it's heavy.
I don't want to lug that around.
You don't want to be backpacking that, because that, is essentially half of the weight of your backpack is your pan.
Yeah.
Or all of the weight if you have a large Dutch oven.
Yeah. That's crazy that people do that.
Yeah.
I hope they don't.
Well, I don't know.
I'll car camp with mine.
But
awesome.
I've car camped with my cast iron. I've got 2 enameled pieces. They're enamel coated, and so it's a porcelain glaze that's over it. And then I have one regular cast iron pan, like that's not enamel coated. It's just the regular pebbled surface. And that's a grill pan. And I need to work on my seasoning on that, because it's it came pre-seasoned,
Right.
but it's, it's a mass-produced brand that I won't mention because I haven't decided if I really love this pan or not. But I don't hate it. So I'm going to work on the seasoning to improve it to be a little bit more nonstick. And because, you buy most cast iron pans that you buy now are pre-seasoned.
Yeah.
But it usually helps to kind of add a little bit to it once you make your purchase.
Because that's the other thing that I've always kind of been a little worried about when they talk about this pre-seasoning things. And I'm like, can I even wash it? Like, is that a thing? Can I wash it with some soap?
Oh, yeah, you can totally wash it. So that's kind of a myth, is that you can't wash it. You should never immerse your cast iron if at all possible. I mean, obviously food's going to get baked on and things like that because stuff happens when you're cooking at high heat temperatures.
Stuff happens.
But you can wash your cast iron in mild detergent, and most manufacturers I've noticed will recommend not steel wool for it, but like a chainmail scrubber.
Oh,
you can buy those online, and it's like the actual chainmail that
what? That's a thing?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We'll put a link to a chainmail scrubber in the show notes.
I gotta write that down because I'm gonna forget.
It's like armor, kind of like, like a knight would wear, like chainmail. They're usually kind of squared, and they'll recommend scrubbing.
Links.
Yeah, they'll recommend scrubbing with that.
Huh.
Or, something that's like a bench scraper, like a plastic, hard plastic kind of thing.
And so that's the thing with this whole chemistry thing. I didn't realize this, but like once you get that polymer, once you get that kind of that layer, it's good to go. Like,
yeah, it is good to go. Like,
I did not realize that. So
it's kind of hard to take that off.
Yeah.
You can add to it to make it smoother, and, you can add more coats, but it's kind of hard to actually remove the seasoning.
Yeah.
But sometimes after years of use and abuse, like if you're
not seasoning it, right?
Not seasoning it, it can, it can come off, or I don't know, be a little bit not as perfect as it was.
Right.
So actually, Alton Brown, who
we love the
most
Alton
people
Brown.
know who Alton Brown is. He's food aficionado and science geek. Recommends seasoning your cast iron yearly.
Okay.
Just like your cooking, normal cooking is going to season it.
Right.
But to actually purposely season your cast iron yearly.
Okay. And what does he recommend? I'm curious to see what you found, like oils, types of oils, and temperatures.
So that kind of varies because a lot of people use their cast iron for multiple purposes. So when you go camping, you can make cobblers in them, like desserts, or you can make stews and savory dishes. And so sometimes the seasoning will affect the taste a little bit. So if you are using a traditionally savory seasoned pan, like you've made a lot of meat in that, you've made a lot of potatoes.
Yeah. What if
and
I
then
make
you're
a
going
cobbler?
to make a cake? While the cake will still taste good, it is going to taste good. Sometimes you're going to get remnants of something else, just savory flavor remnants on there. Like if all you've done is cook bacon in there, it's not exactly going to be a bacon flavored cake, but it's not going to be a bacon flavored cake.
Let me see what kind of cake would go well with bacon flavoring.
So the oil that you use to season, most people recommend using a tasteless oil like canola.
Okay.
Or if you know that you're going to be using it for a savory use, you can use any kind of variety of vegetable oils. But canola and flaxseed have been recommended as pretty good tasteless oils.
Yeah.
Some people season their sweeter dishes if they know that they're going to be making like cakes, like skillet cakes are really common to make, brownies, cobblers, things like that. They'll use coconut oil.
Oh.
So coconut oil isn't super flavorful.
But there's definitely a hint of something, I would say.
It's more of a hint of sweet than it is a hint of a savory.
Yeah.
So you can use that. And temperatures kind of vary anywhere from like 250 degrees to like 300 degrees is what's recommended. And you'll oil your pan really well. And they even recommend oiling like your handles and everything else.
And the outside as well?
And the outside.
Okay, so inside, outside handles.
Yeah.
Okay.
So oil the whole thing and put it upside down so it'll drip. And you want to put a cookie sheet below it.
Okay.
That's preferably lined just for easier cleanup.
Right.
Like line it with foil.
Right.
That's usually easiest.
I didn't know that you're supposed to tip it upside down.
Yeah. So
oh my gosh. I'm
you put it
so
in
much
upside
tonight.
down and then that'll drip out.
Okay.
And you'll bake it in the oven. That kind of, those times vary.
Yeah. I was like, it seems like there was a lot of time differences when I was going through the research.
Just for your typical re-seasoning, you can put it in a lower temperature oven for an hour.
Okay.
And then you turn the oven off and you let it cook.
Let it sit.
You leave the door closed
right.
and you leave your pan in there and then take it out after an hour once it's pretty cooled off.
Okay. So you don't want to have that extreme temperature yanking it out. And
yeah. So again, those extreme temperature changes, I mean, while lots of recipes will call for you to take it out of the oven, you know, because you're going to have to take it out of the oven eventually. But extreme temperature changes can really warp your cast iron. So the flat surface on the bottom isn't so flat anymore.
Oh, okay.
You can tell when a cast iron pan has been warped if you do put it on a flat surface and it kind of jiggles around, or if it kind of spins a little bit. You can tell that it's been a little bit warped.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm going to have to check.
My cast iron... So I have a lovely Lodge. It's red enameled cast iron skillet that I just love. And I have taken that camping. And I've cooked over a fire with it. It has done really well. But I will tell you, it is a tiny bit warped.
Ooh.
So it still works perfectly well for my use.
Yeah.
What I use it for. I probably won't take it camping again.
You learned your lesson.
The fire did not really scorch so much, but it did discolor the bottom of the pan. There's a little bit of discoloration. The bottom and the sides a little bit are discolored of the porcelain glaze.
Okay.
So it's more like a darkish purple to red now.
It's beautiful. It's an ombre effect, right?
Yeah, it is an ombre. But I still love it. It still works really well. But yeah, it does extreme heat. So on your enameled cast iron, you don't want to be cooking that over a fire.
Right.
Non-enameled cast iron, go ahead.
Fine. That's the purpose.
Totally fine. But with that porcelain glass glaze over it, it does kind of affect it.
Okay.
So just so you're aware about that.
I'm going to ask a really obvious dumb question. I apologize for those who have been camping for many years. But do I need to season an enameled pan, covered pan?
No.
Okay. That's what I thought.
That's the beauty of the enameled covered. You don't have to season those. The porcelain finish kind of does that for you.
Does the thing for you, so.
I will say with those, you do still get some cooking remnants in the bottom of those pans because you are cooking on high heat. And they are, when you get some burnt on food and things like that.
But that comes off really easily off of those enamel pans.
Yeah, it does come off a lot easier than on your regular cast iron pans. But
wonderful.
Again, use that chainmail scrubber. The cast iron pans, though, soft brush is usually best to clean those with.
Okay, noted.
Or a plastic scraper type thing.
I have learned a lot this evening.
Yeah. There's so much to cast iron. I was talking to my friend, the veteran.
Yes.
Who he's got a haul of vintage cast iron.
How did he get that?
His dad passed it down to him when he passed away. So that was like his inheritance was this vintage cast iron.
How many pieces are in it?
I think he's got at least 10 pieces, and they're all minimum like 50 years old.
Holy
Some
cow.
of them are much older.
Yeah. So are they all polished?
Yeah, so he had to restore all of them.
Okay.
They were rusted. So cast iron does rust because it is iron.
Yeah. And if it's not seasoned properly, it's being exposed to air and
and it'll
moisture, and it will
oxidize.
oxidize, and you'll get rust.
But it's easily removed.
Oh, okay.
It's really easy to restore a cast iron pan. Usually a little bit of oil and scrubbing is going to do the trick.
To get the rust off.
To get the rust
the
off.
initial rust issues that you may have.
There's a lot of different ways that you can restore a cast iron pan.
Okay.
You can use vinegar and water and some steel wool.
Okay.
Or again, that chainmail.
Mm-hmm.
Or really tough, like kind of like maybe is Brillo pad the same as steel wool? Like the really stiff, scrubby.
Right. Just something that can
things
kind of get into.
That can really get that rust off, like a stiff brush, that type of stuff. So you can use vinegar for lighter rust, heavier rust. I mean, I've seen everything from lye to a battery charger. So there's this guy who, let's see, he had a really interesting post. He has a blog called SeriousEats.com.
Oh, yeah.
And there's how to restore vintage cast iron, and he gives you several different ways to do it. And most of these ways go right along with manufacturer's instructions.
Okay.
The battery charger not. But
what?
So if you're super adventurous and really know what you're doing, maybe try that, but don't.
Like the battery charger, like he would hook up a battery charger?
And it's immersed in like, you want to be real careful with. It's just interesting to look at, but probably don't do at home.
You know what though? That's basically a fun chemistry experiment.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I got to look that up. Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
So he also talks about flaws in cast iron when you're shopping around for vintage, because you'll see a lot of, I mean, it's a high commodity vintage cast iron.
You
like
know
a
what?
lot of collectors
like
want
eBay,
it.
I kind of noticed there was a lot
it's expensive too to find. And so some people, like, you can find it at yard sales because people are like, oh, it's a rusted pan. I don't want this rusted pan. You should totally get it if it's at a yard sale.
Because then you can season it. I mean,
but if
restore
it's
it.
cracked
Okay.
or if it's pitted, you probably don't want it.
It's probably not going to be able to be brought back from the dead.
Yeah. So, and some people will recommend using navel jelly on it.
Excuse me?
Yeah, navel jelly. Let me get the scientific name for it so you'll know what I'm talking about.
Navel jelly. So my first thought when you said that was, you know how, like, when you get an ultrasound on your belly when you're pregnant? That's what I thought.
It's phosphoric acid.
Oh, okay. Navel jelly is phosphoric acid?
Yeah. So, for instance,
so
my
funny.
car has some rust on it because I have a very old car. And so one of my friends told me, oh, just put some navel jelly on that. That'll be fine. And it just kind of covers it up and keeps it so it doesn't spread and things like that. You don't want to do that to your cast iron pan. It gets disgusting and it renders it virtually unusable once it heats up.
Oh.
So you don't want to do that.
Okay, stay away from that.
There's a few sites, a few reputable sites even, that will recommend sandblasting. I did a lot of checking on manufacturer sites, especially U.S. manufacturers, and none of them recommend sandblasting, and they all actually recommend that you don't do that.
So they discourage you doing that.
But all of them do encourage that if you can't use any of their like if you've used their tips for restoring your cast iron and it's not working, to contact them, because cast iron can really last multiple lifetimes.
Yeah.
So, and the Lodge Company, Camp Chef, these other ones like Stargazer, that's a U.S. company that's started on a Kickstarter campaign.
Oh.
They're at, let's see, stargazercastiron.com. They're really cool. They have just started production, and they've got a 10.5-inch skillet for really reasonable price.
Is that their,
and it's
like,
gorgeous
launch?
That's
their
launch
Kickstarter.
item.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some other. So basically, the only U.S. manufacturer left, like mainstream, is Lodge.
Yeah.
The Lodge brand.
Mhm.
But recently, with, I don't know, I think it's like millennials. You know, I want to say hipsters or
Hipsters,
something.
you just said.
But-
Basically hipsters.
Interests in
Kind of the maker,
The-
the
yeah.
handcrafted
crafters,
artisan.
makers, artisans,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. They're getting into the manufacture of
Right.
cast iron, and it's really cool to see because I have a huge culinary interest, and it's fun to see those connect and overlap and stuff like that.
And you know what? We were looking at some of these beforehand, and I want to say that there's some beautifully designed. Like, it's not just, you know, don't get me wrong, the good old cast iron vintage pans, those are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that these kind of, like you said, the millennials, these folks that are coming out, and they want to craft a beautifully designed product as well that is
Right.
functional as well as pretty. So
Yeah.
that's kind of fun to see those things coming out.
Yeah, so I'd recommend taking a look at that. Also, burrowfurnace.com. They've got some really well-made, beautiful pans. Anthony Bourdain has done a segment on them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They are really great. A little bit more pricey.
Uh-huh.
And then there's also another company called Finex, and they're out of Portland, Finex. And they're making some really interesting stuff too. They've got a spring handle on theirs and a brass hook, and that actually doesn't heat up as fast.
I was about to say it's probably got to
It's a more ergonomic handle.
Uh-huh.
And theirs are all beautiful. And the unique thing about these companies is that you're not going to get your typical pebbled surface.
Oh, so
They're
they are
actually
polishing.
polishing.
Oh, okay.
They're doing the extra step in their manufacture, and they're polishing them, which leads to a more even surface, like we were talking about when you want to season and things like that.
And get that polymer base going. So
Right.
that's a good idea.
So it makes it even more nonstick
Yeah.
when you polish.
I'm going to have to check those out.
Yeah. So there's so many things, awesome things that you can make in the cast iron too. A lot of people will say you should avoid acidic foods.
I've heard that because doesn't it, like, you're going to leach some of the iron out or something because of the...
Yeah, the iron kind of leaches in a way. It's a really negligible amount.
Mhm.
But yeah,
I guess if you're iron deficient, it's not a bad route to go, right?
Sure. But the acidity in something like tomatoes are going to, over high heat and for long periods of time, repetitively, can break down your seasoning.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you are going to do a lot of spaghetti sauces
Yeah.
or something like that, just I guess, season it often.
Season often, and maybe if you've got the enamel, use that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good route.
But one of my favorite things to do with my skillet is to make some baked eggs.
Wait, just straight baked eggs?
Yeah, it's pretty good. You take some butter and cream,
Uh-huh.
and then you'll heat that up in the oven.
Okay.
Then once it's melted, and it's kind of a low degree oven,
Uh-huh.
once that's melted, you take it out, and then on the stovetop, you're going to crack in 4 eggs into that.
Oh. And just
And
let it...
some goat cheese
Oh.
and some grape tomatoes
So
that are
you're
halved.
basically making like a frittata almost?
Almost, but the
Oh, I guess it's
eggs
not-
are just
they're
kind
just
of like,
sitting there.
they're just sitting there all whole. And then you throw that back in the oven, and then you bake that for about 10 minutes or
Not
so.
very long. Oh.
And then the residual heat, so you'll take it out, and the eggs will still kind of look runny.
Yep.
But because it's cast iron and because it has residual heat, they'll continue cooking.
Okay, so you pull out just a little earlier almost because you, once again, like that heat capacity, that good regulator is still, that it's still there and it's still cooking it for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And then you just spoon it out?
Yep. Then you just spin them out.
That sounds lovely.
They're yummy.
So when I lived in Russia, we had a cast iron pan in Russia. how we got it. It was anyway. We made brownies in it all the time. That was pretty much all we made in it, and it was like the best thing ever because it had the best crust.
Ooh.
From it. So that's the thing that I think of when I think of cast iron pans is that one pan and the brownies we would make like every Sunday.
Yum.
It was like, yeah, it was delicious. Because it had
like a good treat.
And my roommate and I, she loved the inside. She loved the soft part. So she got to eat the inside and I loved the crust. So I ate the outside. Nice. It was a good compromise.
That was.
So yeah.
Yum.
Yeah. So I'm actually curious if there's anybody that is like super awesome at cast iron seasoning, or they have like a tip. We'd love to hear it. I've just learned a ton, and I still feel like I don't know anything about cast iron. So if you guys have any recipes that you're like, you have to make this in your cast iron pan, or just any tips on how to season it, or you're like, I swear by this oil and this temperature.
Yeah.
This is what you need to do. We'd love to hear it because I think I like to hear about other people's experiences and what they've done for years and years and years. So
sweet.
Let's hear it. hungrysquared@gmail.com.
Woohoo.
Woohoo.
Our podcast is brought to you today by our awesome and food-loving sponsors. Our first sponsor today is Nordic Wear. They're at nordicwear.com. This year, they are celebrating their 70th anniversary as a family-owned company, with the majority of their products being made in the USA.
You guys, that is pretty impressive.
Yeah, since 1946.
I mean, and a family-owned company too.
Yeah.
That is so impressive. And they make beautiful things. Like don't they have a 70th anniversary collection?
Yes, they have a 70th anniversary line of bunt pans.
They are beautiful.
There's a crown bunt. There is a quartet piece, which is actually 4 small
and
bunts.
They're so cute. They would be perfect for your brunch.
Oh my gosh,
just saying.
Yes. Or any entertaining that you would do.
Exactly.
And then there's one that's super fun, and it's a group of 6 buntlets.
And the best part about it is their design. They're like a geometric pattern.
Oh, they're so pretty. So your cakes would be gorgeous.
Yeah. You wouldn't have to do any decorating.
No.
The pan does it for you.
The pan does it for you. And they're so beautiful. It could even be decor in your kitchen if you wanted it to be.
Some people
like
do
with
that.
the new open shelving plans that people have. Yeah.
Yes.
They would be gorgeous.
That would be really awesome. We're excited to partner with Nordic Wear, and I was actually very, very excited about their new flare cookware.
Oh,
have you heard of that?
Yes, and it looks so cool. So those pans are gorgeous too.
So if you have not seen the flare cookware, they have something called fin technology, and you know how when you're like, oh yeah, that was developed by a rocket scientist or whatever. Yeah, this totally was.
It was developed by a rocket scientist?
Yeah, exactly. It's basically the same design. So these are made from cast aluminum, and they have these, I don't even know how to describe them. They're called fins up the side and the bottom of the pan that go on the bottom and then up the sides of the pan. And those just help transfer the heat.
Yeah, and it's so that whole pan will heat evenly.
Yeah, exactly.
And the heat will go up the sides of the pan.
And so it is really nice. So it cuts back on your time that you're waiting for stuff to warm up and heat. They did a couple of those super, those heat map type things. And you can definitely see that the flare pan is you've got more heat.
Way more efficient.
In the entire pan. I think it would be awesome in the stock pot because
oh yeah, it would.
Come on. How long does it take to boil, your potatoes or your corn?
Your potatoes or your soup.
Oh yeah. So it would be really nice to have that. And those radial fins, they just kind of bring all that heat right on up to the sides of the pan.
And they look cool.
Yeah, they do. So I'm excited for that. If you want to take a gander at that, you can find it. This one's just a little side note, but it's flarecookware.usa.com, just if you want to take a gander at that. Wait, Sharon.
We have a swag box.
Woohoo! So what's in the swag box from Nordic Wear?
So in the swag box from Nordic Wear, we have cookie presses.
Oh.
Which is a beautiful little thing that it's like a cookie stamp.
It looks like a cookie stamp. It really is.
It will stamp your cookies with cool designs and you will have these awesome cookies.
I know. They are really pretty.
It's a cast aluminum stencil of a sort with geometric designs. There's floral designs.
Yeah, they have
and
like a
some
holiday
others.
one as well, I believe. So
Yeah, and it has a gorgeous polished wood handle that's super comfortable and ergonomic grip.
yeah. We're excited to give those away in our swag bag giveaway. Swag box. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, there's so much cool stuff that it won't fit in a bag. It's a box.
Yeah.
And you can enter to win our swag box giveaway by going to iTunes and leaving a review.
Awesome. However, Sharon, we want everybody to win. So all of our listeners, regardless if you actually win a swag box, can go to nordicwear.com and you can enter the code NordicWear30, and you will get 30% off anything that you purchase above $50. And that expires August 31st,
Woohoo.
2016. 30% off, you guys. That's amazing. I've been kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to get.
Yeah, I know you've been eyeing some pans.
Yes.
I have to. They're so pretty.
They're so pretty. And like, you guys get 30% off. And we do too.
Woohoo!
Awesome.
Thanks, Nordic Wear. Our second sponsor is Blendtec at blendtec.com.
Sharon, you made something amazing this week.
I did. I made s'mores and roasted marshmallow shakes.
Oh my gosh.
They were good.
And
And my Blendtec blender will count down the amount of blends that I've done in it. So
Oh.
I'm now up to like 25, I think.
you need to put more mileage on that, friend.
I do. Yeah, it's fun. I love my Blendtec blender. I have a designer 725, I think is what it's called. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it is.
It's a smooth gunmetal color and it does a lot of fun things.
It works like a charm.
And it can do a lot more fun things when you go to Instagram and follow Blendtec. They have gorgeous pictures and gorgeous recipes that accompany their pictures.
Yes.
They have tons of cool stuff like PB&J creamsicles,
What?
vegan mac and cheese,
What are you talking
which
about?
that sounds disgusting, but it's not.
That sounds really good, actually.
Yeah. So dairy-free macaroni and cheese that tastes like the real thing.
I feel like that's a challenge. They probably were like, somebody just challenged us
Yeah.
and they made it.
Most of their stuff that they put on their Instagram is super, super healthy. They've got raw healing juice that is so good. It looks like a cocktail, like a berry cocktail. So good. They have a clean and healthy Orange Julius copycat. They've got peanut butter chocolate flourless muffins, a mango pineapple sorbet, and they have savory stuff like breadsticks too. There's tons of things that you can make in your Blendtec.
That's awesome. I've been eyeing the lime cilantro hummus. I'm just saying, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
We've been using it ours quite a bit as well.
What have you been making?
So the one thing that stands out to me is Lee made his shrimp curry. He didn't put the shrimp in the Blendtec. He made the sauce in the Blendtec.
Oh.
And wow, that it is smooth and so good. Like, it's so good.
Yum.
And yeah, it just did the number on it. It was really good. So, I mean, it was simple and easy, and we really wanted a smooth sauce, and it worked like a charm.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're pretty happy with our Blendtec. We have been really blessed that to have it and just to have a cool tool in our home.
I love mine.
So what do our swag box giveaway winners win?
Oh, well, Blendtec has provided us with some cool things for our swag box. That would be the Blendtec Spectacula, which is an ergonomic spatula designed to scrape all of the goodness out of your Blendtec blender.
Yep.
But I have also used mine around the kitchen. It's got a built-in spoon rest.
Yep. You just can't beat.
It's kind of put all of my other rubber scrapers to shame.
Oh.
I love using it. They've also included measuring cups.
Which are really nice. You can never really
Have too many.
Yeah.
Yeah. These ones are oval shaped with a little ergonomic thumb grip on them. And they have little steps built into the side of it where your measurement markers are. And that's really convenient too. And so it's engraved in
Yeah.
the cup, so it's not going to wear off or anything.
Because that happens, people. Let's real talk that.
Yeah, I hate that because you never know if you're getting a third of a cup or a half of a cup.
Yep,
Once
exactly.
that happens, it's all over. And then they also included power banks, so you can charge your mobile devices on the go.
Sweet.
So when you're at your restaurant and you want to Instagram your food, because we know you do it,
I do.
you will have, like, your battery's not going to run out. My
Power
battery is
bank.
always running out.
Me too. Me too.
So they're useful.
Well, that's pretty fun. I'm excited that Blend Tech has donated those for our swag bag giveaway, swag box giveaway. Dang, I cannot get that right. Anyway, but we do want to give a little gift to our listeners because Blend Tech is actually giving 10% off any blender, you guys. Any blender until August 31st. And all you have to do is go to blendtech.com. So that's BLENDTEC.com. And you're going to enter the code HUNGRY10. And that's HUNGRY1010, the numbers. So, and we're so excited to partner with Blend Tech. They have been awesome.
Thanks, Blend Tech. Let's have a food fight.
Food fight, food fight, food fight, food fight.
This is the segment where you can email us with your relationship questions relating to food. You can email us at hungrysquared@gmail.com.
Disclaimer, we are in no way professionals, relationship experts, but you should totally listen to us anyway. I think we've got good stuff to say.
Food fight, food fight. The food fight segment of the show. Here we go.
Totally.
Okay, so this week's question is, well, let me just read what this lovely lady wrote. She writes, "Dear Hungry Squared ladies," oh, that's us.
Yeah.
"I have a bit of a dilemma. I like baking cakes of all kind. My favorite usually involves chocolate. However, my extended family, like my parents and siblings, don't like chocolate and always ask for carrot cake for all the family birthdays. And since I'm the baker of the family, I bake a lot of carrot cake. Frankly, I'm a little bit tired of it. Do you have any birthday cake alternatives for the family who doesn't do chocolate? Sincerely," and get this, she signs off as, "Sincerely, my skin is turning orange."
Oh, dang. Oh, dang. That's a lot of beta carotene.
Yeah. Okay, so I like carrot cake, but it's not my go-to either.
No, I mean, I have learned to like carrot cake.
Okay, so it's not it's not one of those when you're like, I am craving a good carrot cake.
Well, you're putting a vegetable in a dessert. It's weird. Like, I know everyone likes it. It's weird.
I
don't care how much cream cheese
I
frosting
was
you
about
put
to
on
say,
that.
I was like, it's the cream cheese frosting.
On a vegetable. But I have made a pretty good carrot cake over
Okay.
the years. I've experimented, but yeah, I mean, I can see if everybody's requesting that same carrot cake, that's going to get old.
It's going to get old. And gosh, that's
And
a
chocolate
bummer.
cake's so good.
Yeah.
Why would you want to eat it?
What's their problem?
Maybe you need a new family.
maybe you need to break up with your family. Like that's
Over cake.
over cake.
Don't do that.
Okay, we're not recommending that. Man, we are jerks sometimes.
Yeah, well,
Gotta learn to love us though. Okay, so non-chocolate, non-carrot cake cakes. Funfetti? Just kidding.
Ew.
Well, I was thinking, but I kind of like a funfetti cake, but like it really
what's
does.
the flavor of that? It's like vanilla flavor.
I think it is. It's pretty blend.
And I suppose you could do like a red velvet cake, which is really a
It's
watered down chocolate cake in disguise.
with a ton of red food coloring.
And if it's red number 5, you are in trouble. And maybe you could get rid of your family.
We're going to talk about red velvet cake at some other time because I have major qualms with that cake. Okay. we'll talk about it another time, but really, like, I don't think you should do a red velvet cake either. Well, maybe.
What else is there?
Okay. So maybe
Lemon cake kind of comes to mind.
I love a good lemon cake. I make this lemon basil cake and it's quite refreshing.
Oh,
Yeah. I think it's pretty good. It just was one of those ones I just was trying to experiment with fun flavors, and that turned out pretty well.
Lemon basil.
Yeah.
What's the frosting on that?
It's basically lemon curd that's been folded. Well, whipped cream has been folded into lemon curd. So it's
Ooh.
light and tangy, but it's not too, like, it's not icing-y. It's not super heavy. I think it's a perfect spring cake. So maybe if you want to make it for spring, I can put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
It's pretty tasty, I think. So there's that option if you want to go more citrusy.
Okay.
The other question is, I wonder why they request the carrot cake. The only reason why I ask is, like, maybe it's the cream cheese frosting they like.
Can you use cream cheese frosting on other cakes?
Yeah.
Like what? I don't do a lot of baking. I'll just throw that out there right now. I mean, I do some baking. I baked that banana bread this week, but
Yeah.
I'm not a huge baking aficionado.
I'm just trying to think of, well, I mean, I just bring it up because we were talking about that red velvet cake, and I think a red velvet cake is basically an instrument to getting more cream cheese frosting into my mouth. So, I mean, if it's the frosting they're into, then just maybe throw out different cakes that require the cream cheese frosting.
So maybe a chocolate cake
You
with
could-
cream cheese frosting?
That would be really good. Well, I mean, maybe a chocolate cake with not a chocolate cream cheese frosting, but just a regular cream cheese frosting. That would be kind of fun.
I did see a recipe for peanut butter cake recently. Peanut butter.
I love peanut butter. How's the frosting on that, though?
So the
Is it-
frostings, there's options. There's cream cheese, there's chocolate, and a peanut butter frosting. So peanut butter with peanut butter frosting.
I think I'd go with the cream cheese frosting.
Yeah,
Or the
maybe.
chocolate, actually. Peanut butter and chocolate, that's basically a Reese's Pieces cup.
Yeah. Yeah, but what if her family doesn't like Reese's Pieces?
They're lame.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Citrus? Well, I mean, there's like vanilla cakes,
You know, if
yellow cake.
Yeah, just a yellow cake. You can make really delicious yellow cake. A coconut cake, if they're into if they're into coconut. I know not everybody's into coconut, but might be an option. Go more tropical.
Ooh, that could be good. Coconut and pineapple or something.
Yeah, you can make
Ooh.
like a pina colada cake or something.
Yum.
There's a lot of different options, so it's not just black and white or
Chocolate and carrot.
chocolate and carrot. Like, there's other things. Go find a recipe book and just give it a stab and see if your family likes it.
Yeah. I have a friend who she is making for her mother-in-law a almond, oh gosh, I think it was a lemon almond cake.
Like almond as in like amaretto? Kind of amaretto flavoring?
Like an almond extract.
Oh, okay. So, yeah.
And there was like slivered almonds in the frosting, I think. So that could be a nice flavor combination.
Yeah, maybe ask them why they like... Oh, I would say ask them why they like your carrot cake. And then just try and find something that's similar, but not exactly the carrot cake.
A zucchini cake.
Cream cheese frosting.
Oh, well, that's true.
I'm just
That's
saying.
true.
Cream cheese frosting makes everything better.
Yeah, but there's more flavors out there than just chocolate and carrot.
Yeah, there definitely is.
Try some tropical. Try some citrus.
Yeah, it might be quite delightful. And you might scare them off, but that's okay. At least you get to bake.
Yeah,
It's kind of fun that way.
true. And you get to experiment.
Yeah,
That's always fun.
yeah. And let's be honest, you're doing them a favor by baking a cake for their birthday.
Yeah. I mean, you can only you can only bake so many carrot cakes in a year.
Yeah. So why don't you switch it up a little and see how it goes? And maybe they won't disown you.
Spice cake.
Oh, spice cake.
Spice cake, cream cheese frosting.
Done.
Okay. Sorry. Just
Yeah.
had the spice cake.
That's really
Epiphany.
that was an apostrophe. Just kidding, it wasn't an apostrophe. It was an epiphany.
Totally an apostrophe.
Okay. Well, I hope that works. Give it a try. I'll put a recipe up and you can let me know if it works or if you're like, ooh, that might be a little too daring for this family of mine. I think it's tasty, though.
If not, bake the cake and eat it yourself.
Yeah. Share it with a friend. Is there anybody you're interested in? Give them a wink and a piece of cake.
Hey, I got this cake.
Here's my number.
In a cake. Like a fortune cookie, but it's a cake.
We're really not good at this relationship advice stuff, are we?
No.
Okay.
Bake lemon basil cake.
Done. Let us know how everything turns out. Miss My Skin is Turning Orange. And yeah.
Yeah, hopefully your skin won't be orange for very much longer.
By the way, we really loved your letter. That was great. Thank you for sending that in. And please send any more questions, and we would love to hear your relationship woes regarding food.
Yes. hungrysquared@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us today for our show. You can find us at hungrysquared.com, on iTunes, and on Stitcher. Please leave us a rating on iTunes because that will help other people discover our podcast, and we would be your best friend if you did that.
Seriously. Give us a review because we're still little youngins in this podcasting world, so we would love to make our podcast better. And so anything that could help us would be much appreciated. So thanks for joining us today.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Hungry Squared, yeah, Hungry